Welcome to Which to Take with Christina Lisa and Movie Lab number 2 of Psychosociology, A Course to Free Will, where we are looking at Ghostbusters through the lens of the literal and figurative orphan, adoptee, gypsy. You may call us Ripper, and develop with us the virtues, the witch's virtues of courage, honor, integrity, truth, and wisdom. Thank you so much for stepping into our office and collaborating with us on a free PhD in the University of the Universe's YouTube. Careful, there's sensitive content from adoption, exploitation, and slavery to suicide, homicide, and overdosing. We share signs from which we look and move away in order to come out of the fog of adoption fairy tales, gypsy myths, possessed by grief amygdala, cycling fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn, fear, following cards from humans around Ma Earth like the Manouche, the French Romani, who say, before there comes hatred and fighting, hold on to the caravan and go. And the Caldorash Romani, who say, wherever you go, you carry your families in your belly. Because over our 5 decades, we have learned to know how it is that the Romani gypsy tongue speaks the truth. So in this session, we plan to share a few handful of lines that jumped out at us, and then let you take over, sharing your thoughts, feelings, emotions. Remembering opinions are like assholes. But first we want to share some guide rails to ensure a beautiful energy exchange between us all in this session, like definitions from the National Spiritualist Association of Churches, NSAC.org, Cyndi Dale, and others. First and last, we, quote unquote, encourage every person holding present belief always open to restatement, as growing thought and investigation reveal understanding of new truths, thereby leaving individuals free to follow the dictates of reason and conscience in spiritual and secular affairs. And thank you so much for loving the passers-by that we hear or any interruptions that may come along. And we may share Thich Nhat Hanh's bell mantra for those moments, even if it's not a bell, a horn, a whistle. And his bell mantra goes something like this: mind, body, speech, in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow. We are in awe, and we are so excited to be here with you and to be on this planet Earth and to be in this neighborhood, and what thrilling times. So we maintain integrity by maintaining healthy boundaries, which the number 6 reminds. We adore numerology, and perhaps you do too, and you can add that to your Stacked for Life Worth Living deck of cards to help you play through those times when loss hurts so much that you want to hurt yourself or somebody else, but not really. And Naomi Remen, MD, says, healing may not be so much about getting better as about letting go of everything that isn't you. All of the expectations, all of the beliefs, and becoming who you really are. And that was borrowed from one of Cyndi Dale's books on subtle energy healing. You may appreciate her. I think I have a link on my YouTube channel on all the different channels on YouTube that I appreciate, so you may find her there or research her on your own. CYNDI, Cyndi Dale, DALE. And definitions of emotions, thoughts, feelings, subtle energy medicine, and more. We're going to jump into that. And emotions are normal responses to external environment. They're actually thoughts combined with feelings. Thoughts steer our feelings, and the feelings themselves create the chemical attitudinal, even electrical environment that impacts certain organs and meridians. As a practitioner of subtle energy medicine, when you work with the fields generated by a group of atoms or even a single atom, you can potentially determine the health or needs of those atomic structures, thus promoting healing. That's more from Cyndi Dale, and here's some more. Sadness asks us to perceive the love under the loss. Fear asks us to move forward, backward, or out of the way. Anger asks us to set boundaries. Disgust tells us that something isn't for us. Happiness tells us we want more of that. And information or energy that doesn't fit, feels, sounds, smells, or just seems off, quite simply, it won't resonate with you. Like, are my hands bugging you? My unfinished nails? Thank you for tolerating. Anyways, getting over that. Me too. Rising above. Like, what a fun bodysuit we all have. And let's see what else we need to share. Energy, information, or energy that doesn't fit, feels, sounds, smells, or just seems off. Quite simply, it won't connect with you. You also might experience a sensation of dread or fright. Both indications what is happening right now doesn't suit you. If I repeated myself, well, that's worth repeating, right? Especially for the literal and figurative orphan, adoptee, and gypsy who may have been tuned to feel others' feelings before your own. And so now you're learning how to feel your own feelings and figure out what resonates with you. And thank you for taking such sweet care of yourself and being so brave to honor that, to take the hero or the heroine's mission. That's thrilling. And this is how the shift is happening, exponentially more than anyone expected. Thank you so much. So, more definitions, just to help keep these guide rails on. And part of my duty is to repeat myself like a happy broken record. And so there you have it. A psychic picks up directly on objects, events, and people. And we borrowed that, adopted that from the National Spiritualist Association of Churches. And the purpose of mediumship is threefold. And like education, the purpose of mediumship is threefold, and it's like education in our experience. And the purpose, the threefold purpose, is to prove continuity of life, personal survival, and personal unfoldment and growth. Thrilling. I love the connections between mediumship and education. It just makes so much sense to me. And if it doesn't for you, don't force it, right? Everybody's on their own journey. So thank you for honoring what's true for you. And Mary, sorry, I'm going to get to Mary T. Longley in a minute, Spiritualist Mary T. Longley, in less than a minute. But before that, I want to share that definition of medium from the National Spiritualist Association of Churches. And a medium is one, pardon me, whose organism is sensitive to vibrations from the spirit world and through whose intelligences in that world are able to convey messages and produce phenomena of spiritualism. And Mary T. Longley adds to that, the office of mediumship is to bless humanity, to enable the race to overcome conditions of matter sufficiently to make such the servant rather than the master of intelligent beings, to enable it to guide through intuition the individual for their own and others' good. And we take the liberty to say that the office of fortune teller and shaman is parallel to the office of mediumship, and that good, we take the liberty to clarify good as meaning helpful, beneficial. And a spiritualist healer works with the spirit, mind, emotions, and body of the recipient. A spiritualist healer is aware that once stress is removed from the mind and emotions, the body responds naturally. Let me just grab this and that for some on-the-spot healing as I'm talking to you with my smoky quartz heart and my Welk wand. A spiritualist healer is aware that once stress is removed from the mind and emotions, the body responds naturally, bringing about holistic healing in the recipient. A spiritualist healer is one who, either through one's own inherent powers or through mediumship, is able to impart vital curative force to pathological conditions. The result of spiritual healing are produced in several ways. By spiritual influences working through the body of the medium to transmit curative energies to the diseased parts of the recipient's body. By spiritual influences enlightening the mind of the medium so that the cause, nature, and seat of the disease in the recipient is made known to the medium. And through the application of absent healing treatments, whereby spiritual beings combine their own healing energies with the energies of the medium and cause them to be absorbed by the systems of the recipient, which may be happening here right now, whenever you are tuning in to this session. And a spiritualist healer acknowledges the importance of the medical community and works in cooperation with it at all times, as it is also an instrument of the infinite intelligence. So thank you so much for taking in those definitions and allowing them to assist as guide rails, guardrails. And in these movie lab sessions, we vibe with adoption, gypsy, orphan aspects on our path, hoping to channel in a way that allows us, you and me, us, to learn without study, practice, discipline, punishment, to develop a healthy Vishuddha, that is to say, throat chakra, and to seek and share our truths instead of becoming distracted, irresponsible, secretive, alone in our knowledge, to develop, grow, nurture authentic, harmonious, honest relationships between ourselves and others. In this course to free will, in this lab to free will, we see everybody as a different psychosociology experiment, and only our intentions and actions determine our future. Testing what aligns before deciding what to take and adopt as our own. While the matters of which we speak during these podcasts may seem scary or like we take a side, our mission is to adopt success for one and all in home, school, business, streets, nation, religion, outer space, transmuting all the violent cycles into love. Coming from a homeless shelter and an orphanage, maintaining a safe home is of the utmost importance to us. And our primal and physical wounds prevent us from playing the good-evil game to fit in, belong, be accepted. Keeper of earth, moon, stars, we try to help young through elder humans succeed in the classrooms of their lives. So all that being said, Ghostbusters, we got about 13 points for you to pick out in the movie, so you may want to queue up the movie and watch that first, and then come back around and match up what jumped out at you as a literal, figurative, orphan, adoptee, and gypsy, or you may want to hang out and listen to the around 13 lines first and then go watch it. However it works. This is pretty casual, pretty loose. And so the first line that jumped out at us was Ma talking to the step teacher. That'll make sense if you remember the movie, the step teacher. He was a teacher who ended up being a stepfather. Ma saying to the stepfather, who used to be the teacher of the child, of her child, about being a dad or a husband. She said, sometimes you gotta be an asshole. Line number 2 that jumped out at us was the police chief saying, my engineer has been thinking about the future. I love that line. Number 3, step teacher says to step student daughter, the stepfather says to his stepdaughter, the stepfather, he used to be the daughter's teacher, the student's teacher. I know. See how confusing it gets? Imagine how they feel. I mean, you may be one of them, right? So The step teacher says to the daughter, the student, maybe if you weren't being so selfish. And then Ma says to the step teacher, it sucks, doesn't it? Just relating to how being a parent sucks and your kid is acting so selfish. It sucks, doesn't it? I'm laughing. It's not funny because, well, if you have been checking out this channel for a while and you've gone through our Play Your Cards series on Instagram and on YouTube, the different playlists, you'd understand how that line number 3, you'd understand. You may see, you may agree, you may align with this other side where that line number 3 that we just brought up, maybe if you weren't being so selfish, is really not a student-centered classroom, is it? It's a teacher-centered classroom, and that's a large part of how come students get left behind, young through elder, right? I mean, you may have some different experiences, and of course don't force the fit if that doesn't resonate with you, if that doesn't make sense. So line number 4, the orphan daughter says, is this our last night in the firehouse? And that jumped out to me because, well, by law, people are allowed to abandon babies at the firehouse and let the firehouse take over. And so that line in Ghostbusters really jumped out at me in a way that maybe it doesn't with people who are not out of the fog of adoption fairy tales and gypsy myths. When we chose to, our survival depended on living in those low states of adoption, low expressions of adoption, in order to fit in and belong, because we weren't of age yet. We did whatever we could. Whose dick do we gotta suck to stay alive? I know it's not funny, especially with all the sexual abuse coming out, but to us, we see it's all under the umbrella of adoption. Intimacy is one of the two-faced cards that every human gets dealt with, every loss, not just the adoptees, and it explains all the fuckery all around, and also offers a path for resolution and turns that fear into all clear. So there you go, there's that. You know, opinions are like assholes. If it doesn't resonate, that's all right. If this channel's not for you, you may change the channel and find something that is feeling more aligned with you. And then if you change your mind, you're always welcome to come back, right? Helping you honor your free will and your unfoldment, and in a hands-off sort of way. So number 6 was talk about the smokeless flame and the burning bush. Number 7, Ma saying to daughter, you're fired. I mean, dagger to the heart. It's reminding me of all the times parents say to their kids when the kids are quote unquote taking too long, we're leaving, okay, we're just going to leave you, and they just hop in the car and leave them there. Oh my God, like the poor dog video that came across my path today. I don't watch memes, or I try not to watch the dog videos, the cute dog videos, the cute kid videos, but the one dog video that crossed my path today is a German Shepherd booking down the freeway, a 2-lane freeway, 2-lane highway, because he got abandoned, so he's trying to catch up with his owners. And some beautiful soul stopped and picked him up, and yeah, so looping us back around to line number 7 that jumped out at us, the mother saying to the daughter, you're fired. Like, wow, for the literal, figurative, orphan and adoptee and gypsy, it's like, really? What are you talking about? I think we got our missions confused. You took the daughter's mission instead of the mother's mission, and you're acting like the reverse. Come on now. And these lines, they're just reminding, oh, you're tired. No, mother, I'm not fired. You're just tired, right? All the times we're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and we lash out at our people. It's not just the parents, but the parents do have made a choice to be beholden and to improve and to, well, every parent's got a different social contract, and they're evolving rapidly right now, changing right under our noses. And so let me just put a pin in that. So line number 8, the step teacher says, family is there no matter what. It doesn't even have to be blood, just people who remind you you have a home. That's a common line in low states of adoption, low expressions of adoption, and I'm curious how you feel about it, what you think about it, you know, those thoughts, emotions, feelings that we talked about at the beginning of this podcast. What jumps out at you when you hear that line? And I think there's so many people who wish they were adopted, and so some of these lines, family is there for you no matter what, doesn't even have to be blood, are maybe demonstrations of that, or wishful thinking, or maybe my opinion is just really stinky right now and something else is resonating with you. You can leave a message in the comments. So number 9, Bill Murray says, being nice didn't work. Okay, well, this explains how come violent cycles circulate, is because people give up on being nice and think that that's the excuse. No, you just haven't found the path yet that is most effective with this person or entity that you're dealing with that is so loss-ridden, so possessed by grief. And maybe you're not the one. Maybe you need to tag out and let someone else take over who can continue to be nice instead of letting themselves off the hook and being violent because being nice didn't work. Number 10, figurative orphan saves the day because she's so smart. I mean, this is the story we love to tell throughout time. There's so many different literal figurative orphan stories where they come in and save the day. Even the Adopt a Teen billboard that was posted for around 2 years in our town with the superhero team all dressed up like, I don't know, what's that superhero show where they all dress up? It's not the one with the turtles, but it's sort of like the one with the turtles. But everybody's dressed in superhero costumes, and it was an advertisement to adopt a teen. So number 10, the figurative orphan saving the day, reminds me more of those adoption fairy tales and gypsy myths. And, you know, maybe there's a flip side to that, because those figurative, literal orphans, adoptees, gypsies who have danced out of the fog of adoption fairy tales, gypsy myths, the grief struck by loss amygdala, cycling fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn, fear, are leading the way for those who don't identify as those things to do the same, to swap out the fighting spirit for adoption spirit. So I don't know, 10 could go either way. Number 11, team family, jumped out at me. Since I have been dancing out of the fog of adoption fairy tales, gypsy myths, the possessed by grief amygdala, cycling fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn, fear, I stopped calling people family, even my own family. Well, okay, you know, those who have managed to dance out of the fog with me or are thinking about it. But for example, in my business, I'm not calling people my family. Hey, family. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not in a competition also with team family, this team family against that team family. Stepping out of the fighting spirit and immersing into adoption spirit. Number 12, the step teacher just beside himself. She just called me Dad. He was so excited. And again, reminding me of the parent-centered classroom, the parent-centered home instead of the student-centered home, instead of the child-centered home, and how attached parents are to their role and how much energy they get from something like, she just called me Dad. And in high states of adoption, how parents are more detached and source their energy from the universe instead of their children. And number 13, Ivan Reitman, may you rest in power, who was part of that Ghostbusters movie. And so, yeah, we just went into it. We just dove into it. We got opinionated, and we didn't. And we're curious. Oh, I skipped number 5. How funny. Let me loop back around. Dan Aykroyd was saying to the fire tender, which reminds me of the Manipura chakra, your yellow belly, the fire in your belly, talking about selling your heritage, claiming your destiny. Were you not listening to your grandma? All these things that people are beginning to talk about, but not quite out of the fog yet. Really wanting to do positive and help out, but then ending up just falling back into that fighting spirit again. And in this channel, we're shifting out of the fighting spirit into adoption spirit. We're immersed in adoption spirit and recognizing that daily we might fall into that fighting spirit, and it's our sign to tag out and to play our cards for healing treatments instead of marching forward as if we're correct and being violent because being nice didn't work. So yeah, we're curious. Was this resonating? Do you want more? At your leisure and for free, you may hang out for other spells in our virtual offices on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, DeviantArt, Linktree. Has it all, most of it anyways. And if you want any more, even more at your leisure for a relatively nominal fee, you may subscribe to put your name on a wait list for a subscription for Moonly musings, meditations, magic, and we have a list of new services and products for this season. For this, we're coming into National Adoption Awareness Month, as well as so many other things going on with November and December. So check out our recent posts on YouTube and Instagram if you're curious about that. We haven't been so active on the other channels. And if you want to collaborate with other Romani and adoptees, you may meet some through our link tree. Scroll down and you shall find them. And if you are collaborated because you're devoted to student success, helping the literal and figurative young through elder, orphan, adoptee, gypsy, the firstborn, the lastborn, even you, but you want to play all day instead of fight, then you may email witchtotake@gmail.com and or visit us at our link tree. And thank you so much for joining us in this podcast. We are in awe of your energy, essence, and arts, for you being so gentle with yourself, steering clear of danger, playing with yourself, your cards for the life you want, need, desire, as you and life keep changing into the blue beyond. We love you so much. Ciao for now.